Anna wants to make backpacks for her friends as gifts. Each backpack will take 7/8 yards of material. She has 21 yards of material. How many backpacks can she make? So she has this, and kind of think about, this yardage, and each backpack is going to take 7/8 of a yard. Not quite a whole yard, so she'll be able to make a little more than the 21, but how many will fit in there? So first we have to label, what are we trying to find? You can just say find number of backpacks. If we had a variable, you could say like let X equal number of backpacks, but you can even abbreviate, that's fine. And then we're going to just kind of write a little phrase here that we would get number of backpacks would equal the total material yards divided by the yards per bag. I'm just going to get rid of my little picture there. Or backpack. Okay. Then we would write maybe fill in the numbers there to go along with that. So we would have 21 divided by the 7/8 yard for each backpack. Then we're going to see how they fit together. So I'm going to do this one out by hand. Again, you can use a calculator, but just to be sure, just review a little bit of fraction skills here. It's kind of nice. So when we're dividing, we're going to, by a fraction, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So I would have, give myself a little more room here, that would actually become 21/1 times 8/7. And then I could simplify before I multiply. And so the answer there would become 24, and then just go full circle here to the end, that Anna can make 24 backpacks from that fabric. You don't have to be real elaborate with your answer. That's totally good. So that one counts as an example, so you can just take notes and turn that one on in. If you ever want to just pause the video, try it on your own and see how you match up, that's a great idea. So for number 2, I'll do as an example also. Frances needs $1,600 to pay for her upcoming trip. She has earned 3/4 of it so far. So whenever I give you fractions, I kind of want you to try to work in fractions. If you get stuck, you can kind of do decimals, especially if it terminates, but it's helpful to sometimes just keep them in fractions. Especially this one will work out nicely. How much money has she raised so far? How much money does she still need before she can pay for the trip? So we have two different things happening. So we need to know, first step would be find amount of money she has raised. Then once you get that, you can figure out what's left. Find what's left to get. Okay. And for the kind of number sentence part of it, we would have, whenever we have a piece of something, we want to multiply. So we'll do more with this later, but your amount raised, in this case, would equal the portion times the total. Sometimes we call that base. Sometimes the portion is called a percent, or it's either as a decimal, a percent, or fraction. In this case, we have a fraction. So then to fill in those numbers, our portion is 3/4 of, means multiply, in this context, times 1,600. I'll just put that over 1. And then we can reduce here. So 4 into 4 is 1. 4 into 1600 is 400. So then we can see that we have 1200 that she has raised so far. Now in your head, you can kind of think of that. Well, half would be 800, and then another quarter of that would be 400. So that makes sense. That's a good, reasonable answer there. And even if you double check your math with the calculator, you've written out what your process is. So you're covered there for steps. And then that kind of flows together. That's part B and C. So I'm just going to go ahead and write D down here. Well, actually, I didn't finish because good thing I wrote this up here of what's left to get. So that's only part of it. We have 1,200 is what she earned. So 1,600 minus the 1,200 is 400 remaining. You could have done it if you weren't asked specifically how much she raised so far. You could just say, well, she has a quarter left, so times a quarter times 1,600 is 400. You could kind of take those shortcuts. And a lot of times you might just know that in your head, but remember, we're trying to learn a process here, so then we have missing pieces, we have more complexity in the problem, larger numbers, all that kind of stuff that don't kind of work out. So these are kind of nice numbers to work with, compatible numbers that make it work intuitively for you to see it so that you can understand the process better, hopefully. So the process is what you're trying to get some muscle memory on and embrace. So just bear with the time it takes to write down, but it's really pretty quick once you get used to it. So then you could answer in a sentence both of those. She has raised $1,200 so far and has 400 left to get, something like that. Just in your own words, that's fine. Right, so I hope that helps. The classwork on these, or you know, quote unquote classwork, the practice problems. 5 friends are going to split 8 3/4 pounds of potting soil equally. How much will each one get? It's similar to what we were doing before, but you're just going to take, I'll just give you a little hint. You have a total that you are splitting up by a number to get the amount that they're going to get. So kind of think of how that's going to pan out, and remember to work with fractions. If you're dividing or multiplying, then you're going to want to make that be an improper fraction. Number 4, you can also try it on your own. We have 2 pie pans of the same size remain on the counter. One has half a pie, the other has 3/4 of a pie. Mom wants to divide all the pie pieces into 1/8 slices of like the original size pie. So order of operations kind of happening here, just like with the decimal problem, but it's fractions. So in this case, you're going to have to kind of think about, what do you do with these 2 things? And then how does this relate? I'll actually go back and do this one now. But you can pause and try all of these and then check back with the video, or just do that later if you're stuck. And then number 5 is very similar to the same decimal problem that we did, except we're using fractions instead of decimals. So you have to work in fractions. And you can write your number sentence all the way out, like using order of operations and making sure you put your parentheses in, or you could do it in 2 steps. So that's up to you. So go ahead and pause the video and try those right now, or at least try number 4 and check back to see if you got that one right. I'll write it out here. Okay, so for this one, just so you can see how it pans out in the process that you'll be using below, except it's not an add one, it's different. First, you're going to find the number of pieces is what we're trying to find. So you have to look at consolidating those two pies together and figure out how much pie is left overall. So I just wrote that with parentheses. Make sure I do that first. Get a common denominator. That comes out to be 5/4. So it's actually a little more than a whole pie left. And then dividing that into 1/8 slices. So we multiply by the reciprocal there and get 10 slices that she can get. So just write your sentence. Right, so I hope that helps, and go ahead and do the classwork or practice problems for your participation this week. This will be really good review for your upcoming midterm.